I'm not making this video because I love Wonder Woman comics. I'm doing it because I hate them. So I did something a little bit unreasonable. I went back. All the way back. Not just to understand Wonder Woman, but also to understand how she changed. Because you'll see in this video that every era doesn't just rewrite her story, it reflects a different idea of who she should be. A warrior, a diplomat, a really hot lady. And somewhere along the way, as she kept changing, I did too. Wonder Woman number 5, The Battle for Womanhood, was written in 1943, making it by far the oldest comic I've ever read on the channel. By the way, if you're wondering what issues I chose and why, it's from this compilation, check it out. It's also my first comic from the Golden Age, and I gotta say, I really liked it. The story goes like this. Mars, the god of war, just fucking hates women, and Wonder Woman is here to stop it. That's it. This simple premise is so effective because it feels so genuine. I feel like a lot of the vague girl power messaging nowadays can often feel underwhelming when it's not rooted in something real. Like, the difference between something like this and Wonder Woman number 5 is that Wonder Woman number 5 is saying, if you're a misogynist, you secretly want Nazi Germany to win by taking women out of the war effort. USA, USA. That right there is genuine. The fear of women gaining power is reflected right down to the antagonist Dr. Psycho, who is tasked by Mars to convince the US to enslave women, which should tell you a lot about this era. And Dr. Psycho here is a straight up better villain than so many other antagonists that I've read on the channel, including other Dr. Psychos. Whereas in Rucka's version, he's basically a creepy pervert, here he gets actual motivation. He's basically an incel after he sees his fiance cheat on him and he's all self-conscious about his height. And while the premise is simple, the moment-to-moment plot is surprisingly complicated and adult. I won't spoil it for you, but George Washington does make an appearance. I also like the art. It's very Mad Magazine, and the panels, while basic, have some snazzy coloring. If I had to levy a complaint, I would say the story doesn't really understand the concept of a climax. It's very much in one gear and it wants to stay like that. It doesn't even really seem like a superhero story at all. It feels like a mission statement. Like, Wonder Woman is not a character, she's an argument. It's also hilarious, I'll bet unintentionally. And I don't often factor it into the videos that much, but seeing a woman save a man in 1943 is pretty neat. It ends with this little pep talk from Wonder Woman, and if I was an impressionable youngster in the 40s, this shit would hit. Our next and sadly last 40s issue is Sensation Comics number 70, written almost 4 years later. I'm not gonna lie to you, when I saw Native Americans on this cover, I was a little bit nervous. So Wonder Woman's mom sends Wonder Woman back to the 1500s. I accept this. It's basically historical fan fiction. Diana is fighting the fucking conquistadors and she's preventing a genocide against the Inca. I'm just floored at these concepts, especially for the time, so I had to look up William Moulton Marsden, who is the creator of Wonder Woman and the writer of these 40s issues. This guy is insane. He helped invent the lie detector test, and he was like a psychologist. Like, Wonder Woman was his side job. He was also polyamorous and had a lot of weird ideas. My man was hella kinky. He had this theory of like sex love training where someone could be trained. You know, my boy's video was demonetized, so we do have to move on, but safe to say I'm obsessed. Again, we only really have one gear. Every panel is a character doing something. We really never get a character reflecting on anything. There's also this hilarious historical inaccuracy when they have this little date on the bottom of when Wonder Woman is sent back in time, and it's for 1812, which is like 300 years off. This is the first time Wonder Woman comics haven't felt like a chore to me. They felt interesting. Is 40s Wonder Woman basically propaganda? Sure. But it's also so idealistic and creator driven, you need to appreciate that on some level. There is one central voice here, and that's why it works so well. Firestart, 40s Wonder Woman is gonna get an A tier. Sadly, in 1947, William Moulton Marsden died, and then editor Robert Kanigher took over the writing duties for the next 21 years. So all of 50s, All the 60s and even most of the 70s that we're about to read is this guy, and skimming his bios do not do him any favors. The Wonder Woman comics that appeared following Marsden's death were produced from the story ideas he left behind. Most have since been credited to Kanigher because he took credit for them. Say what you will about horny psychologists, they write some damn good comics, and this ain't one. I am not saying that 50s Wonder Woman issues are incompetent. Actually, the opposite, they're significantly more structured. For example, they have clearer stories, proper setups, and even A and B plots. So if they're better written, why are they less interesting? Well, it comes down to the uniqueness, and if I'm being honest, the shorter lengths of the 40s. Let's take this first issue for example, which is basically an origin story. It's framed very meta with these two reporters competing who can write a better origin. But it's not like a fourth wall break, they're in universe trying to interview Diana about her origin, which it's just such a convoluted way to tell the story that we already know. And convoluted is a very appropriate word for this issue. Take the action, for example. It's always getting resolved in like such a rush. It feels upset that it even had to have action in the first place. It's pretty stale. There's no moment-to-moment excitement and really no sequences that made me feel even a tad bit invested. I think I've just accepted that I'm never gonna be into Diana's origin. You can show me Wonder Woman fighting dinosaurs for Aphrodite all you want, I just don't care. Honestly, I'm just super shocked they kept so much of this when they rebooted her in the 80s. My hope was in each decade I could talk about this unique version of Wonder Woman and how the decade reflects on her. But in the Kanigher era, I don't really think it's that deep. The 50s completely strip away all of her uniqueness that I loved in the 40s. Sure, it is Wonder Woman, but she really doesn't have a perspective anymore. She doesn't really stand for anything. Anyways, it's time for Wonder Woman's secret identity to be revealed by a bird. You know, this one also feels a little bit meta. The bird mimicking her narrating everything that's going on feels strangely self-aware of the heavy dialogue in this era. It's funny to me that this whole plot is basically Diana trying to convince Steve that the bird was just delusional. It feels like a sitcom episode. I don't know, maybe don't announce your secret identity out loud? Just a thought. The goal of 50s Wonder Woman has clearly shifted away from saying something and moved to just telling a story. Technically, the structure has improved, but it's come at such a great cost. This is Wonder Woman, the product, not the point of view. So the 50s, they're getting a D tier. Hey guys, welcome back to reading my first Wonder Tot comic. I know, right? Finally, you've all been waiting for this. Something I've been thinking about is like when they made this compilation, they had to select 2 or 3 issues from an entire decade. So presumably these are the best or at least the most impactful, making Wonder Tot, who is, as you might have guessed, Wonder Woman as a toddler, maddening. We're still crediting W to the double M, but we have strayed so far away from his vision. Honestly, this makes me look at 60s Spider-Man so differently. This shit is night and day. For example, the choice to have Wonder Tot talk like a fucking baby is an odd one given according to my research. Babies can't read, but I can. That was supposed to be a Mr. Plinkett reference. You give Wonder Tot priceless jewels so she can give to mommy on mommy's day. This is a new low. So with the 60s comes the first time Wonder Woman feels interchangeable. It's not asking who she is, it's asking what weird shit can we throw at her next issue. And our next, and thank God, final weird thing we do in the 60s is I married a monster. It's really not that good. The 3 main male protagonists are all really creepy to Diana. Then she meets this monster, sees how nice he is on the inside. Aww. The monster has his own issues. Doesn't work out. In the end, you're just left with nothing. It's pretty long, and I can't say I really think the art is anything but bad. The 60s doesn't feel like it builds on her identity. It feels like it wants to distract you from it. 60s are getting an F tier. Alright, the 70s. At this point, Wonder Woman has gone from bold and weird to safe and lifeless. So the question is, does this decade finally fix that? This decade does seem like they knew Wonder Woman needed to be fixed, but I don't think they understood what broke. The creative team is clearly throwing everything they possibly can at you, desperately hoping something sticks. You can see that immediately in this first issue with some of the most rushed pacing I have ever read in a comic. Diana gets amnesia, so her mom plugs in the device from Rick and Morty to give her memories back, which means we're getting another origin story, yay! But then we meet Nubia. Nubia, who is a second Wonder Woman, should be a huge, consequential moment for this universe. I'm sorry to say it to all the Nubia fans out there, but she is Wonder Woman 2. That is as much characterization as this story is willing to give her. The idea is big, but the execution is shallow, and that's really the 70s in a nutshell. Big swing, no follow through. Don't even get me started on this art. It's incredibly messy structurally. We actually meet Nubia before even understanding her. First, we get her connection to Diana teased through her mom, but what ends up happening is it pushes her origin to the next issue. It's confusing, it's backwards, and it kills any emotional weight that this reveal could have had. Nubia was trained by Mars and brainwashed into fighting Diana. That's effectively the same idea WMM had in the 40s, men manipulating women to fight each other for their own gain. But it feels watered down. It feels like they copied those themes without understanding why they worked. They used to be sincere. The other bit that is definitely watered down is the writing. Let's take this page of Wonder Woman and her mom suspecting Nubia is related to them. Nubia, I can't get her out of my mind. It's only been a few days since she and I fought, blah blah blah. Who is Nubia? She claims to be the true Wonder Woman. She almost killed my daughter, blah blah blah. Now I must review these tapes for myself and see if they shed light on Nubia. It's bland, it's purely descriptive, and most importantly, it's not fun to read. I would say the 70s are the first decade where Wonder Woman's stories don't even really feel like hers at all. So we learn baby Nubia got taken from Wonder Woman's mom, her memory wiped, and then she gets deja vu. The part that really takes the cake though is the action. It feels like two toddlers playing on a playground. My magic rope brainwashes you. Nuh-uh, my magic sword negates that. Cliffhangers are an essential part to comics, but why 70s Wonder Woman are you teasing things that happen on the very next page? Ooh, I wonder if Nubia breaks free. Turns page. Oh, yeah, she does. So Mars, the god of war, trains Nubia, a woman, to fight Wonder Woman, another woman, because he's scared of women. The 70s are definitely more ambitious than the 60s, but somehow even less coherent. 70s are getting a C tier. There is a plot, not a good one, but I have to give them credit for not having Wonder taught. Finally, a Wonder Woman decade that I know. Oh my god, I love 80s DC art. It looks so nice. This is the first page. I now completely understand why 80s Wonder Woman was such a big deal. And for all the shit I gave George Perez, the writer, George Perez, the penciler, oh my god, his layouts are so swaggy. Yeah, I said swaggy. He plays a lot with perspective, like with this mural of Diana, and then he'll subtly use it to show like her publicist literally walking all over her. Boom. Turn the page, it's fucking Superman, and it's a spicy dream Diana's having. Wonder Woman is back to the gal I loved. She's struggling with these new romantic feelings. And for the first time, she feels like a fully realized character. It's that humanity that I really complimented Perez on the first go around. And given her mom's history of falling for Hercules only for him to betray her, it totally makes sense that these feelings for Clark are terrifying. But the main event of this issue is the backstory of the Silver Swan. If there is one staple of this series, it is men manipulating women to fight each other. It has been in like every single decade, but here I think it's the most impressive. With Silver Swan, Perez is taking that trope and framing it in the context of an abusive relationship, and it is by far the best issue I've ever read from him. It is just fantastic. So I have no hesitation in saying Silver Swan is the best villain I've seen from Wonder Woman to date, and he's usually unremarkable, but shout out Steve Trevor, he's a great force for good in this story. So Silver Swan's great, Steve Trevor's great, but what about those hot, sexy feelings for Superman? So upon hearing this, Vanessa, Julia's teenage daughter, summons Wonder Woman for a slumber party. And like all good sleepovers, it's time to talk about your crush. So, do you like Superman or do you like Superman? I shit you not, this is my favorite Wonder Woman moment ever. It is so beautiful, so innocent, and so wholesome. It's just filled with love top to bottom. Do I need to keep reading Perez's run now? If I could boil down why I don't feel like I could give up on Wonder Woman, it seems like this. She is this larger than life goddess fighting immortal seismic threats, but at the same time, She is struggling with things that teenage girls do. That's really freaking cool. We all know the butterflies in your stomach when thinking about your crush. Wanting to hold them, wanting to be with them. That is a human experience from a 14-year-old girl to a 3,000-year-old Greek goddess. And we end on a dang cliffhanger. For once, the story is built around Diana, not the other way around. The 80s, I'm thrilled to say, are getting an S tier. George Perez, you have totally redeemed yourself with this one, my friend. R.I.P. George Perez. I just found out he's dead. I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. Ever since my Spawn video, I'm really into the idea of how does a decade's vibe impact characters that were created many, many decades prior. And with the 90s, Wonder Woman is filtered through a time that doesn't quite fit her. Her design is much more gritty, and the muted colors don't quite suit her demeanor. The tone is darker, sure, but it's not necessarily deeper. In addition to Superman like last time, we also have Batman. And why does Batman need this many guns and missiles on his fucking bat stealth bomb? Don't you ever ask these questions. In the 80s, we really started from the characters and wrote everything else around them. But in the 90s, it's much more about writing the overall plot and then placing the characters around that. It's not my favorite way to tell a story. Wonder Woman is still here, sure, but the story doesn't really belong to her anymore. The layouts also frustrate me. They try to have this like no panel style, and it's a cool idea, but sometimes it's kind of hard to understand what's going on a given page. So Wonder Woman gets put into this coma by this parasite, and it's using her power, the same type as her invisible plane, to destroy all of Boston. But the trance that this parasite puts Diana in is so good, it's all of her wildest dreams come true that she doesn't want to wake up. And that dream goes to when she's about to die, and I just found it funny that she's still in her full outfit at age like 10,000 or whatever. She's like, wait, I can't die a virgin, and then wakes up. And honestly, fair enough. Wonder Woman in love is not an inherently bad idea. I mean, we just saw it last decade work out very well. But in this issue, something feels off. It kind of reads like fan fiction. I acknowledge that a lot of my complaints are very particular to me, but I just hate it when superhero media is like ashamed of its goofiness. Why did you even need an invisible plane in the first place? Batman, you rode in here in a fucking warship. So Superman doesn't like Diana back, and it turns into this nice message of Diana's never really alone when she has her friends. But in an issue that wants to be so mature, is that really the best that we could come up with? A story about Superman not liking Diana back has so much narrative potential. How does this Greek goddess deal with heartbreak? But she's so larger than life, I find her much less empathetic here. 90s are gonna get a B tier. Wonder Woman in the 2000s is the first decade that really lets her slow down and breathe. The 2000s executes the premise of not asking what Diana can do, but who she really is. And if not for the aesthetic that I don't really love, I would say it does everything perfectly. Wonder Woman number 5, which is not the last 40s one, which is also Wonder Woman number 5. This issue has Lois Lane following Wonder Woman around for an entire day, basically to write an article about her in the Daily Planet. And that might sound boring to some people watching this, but it's really good, I promise. There's also a ton of charming satire, like this little parody of The View called The Scene. And a valid complaint is nothing really happens in this issue, I acknowledge that. But I counter you with this, dear viewer. Nothing really happens in most comics, in the sense that the status quo largely remains unchanged. So what is wrong with spending those precious paper, pencils, and ink on bringing you closer to these characters? The stakes are smaller, but the people feel larger. In fact, I would say the scenes with the most happening are probably the least compelling. Lex Luthor is president, and he and Diana are at odds trying to get this UN funding. I don't really care. What I do care about is seeing Diana ask out this guy, get rejected, and gossip about him with these flamboyantly gay group of guys. That's fun. This is such a human-centered story, and while I get it if you're not into it, I'm down to clown. And Lois, who is married to Clark, coupled with Diana's prior love for Superman, makes her the perfect character to have in the story. Her relationship with Diana is so nuanced. She resents her for being a woman that she can never be. She's insecure of what Superman could feel towards her, all while having to maintain this professional facade of the unbiased reporter. The whole frickin' world ships Wonder Woman and Superman, and I'm sure you or even I do. I don't know why I said that. It's such a creative way to let decades of comics do your exposition for you, leaving more time for Lois and Diana to repair their friendship. And the heart-to-heart that they have at the end of this issue is incredibly touching. I also love how the credits are incorporated into Lois's article at the very end. It's a very nice touch. And it's not the next issue, but Silver Swan is teased again, and it's lit. I have to read all this shit now. Just a fantastic issue. I don't have nearly as much to say about this next one, though. If the last issue is Diana as a friend, this issue is Wonder Woman as an inspiration. It's specifically framed in domestic violence survivors, and it is very, very powerful. I do really commend it for being adult in a way that feels authentic to the character. They have these testimonials from survivors, and while the pacing can be a bit hit or miss, it's wholly unique, which I can appreciate. It also ends on a pretty great cliffhanger in itself. I wonder if the cliffhanger thing was intentional now that I think about it. 2000s getting an A tier. The obvious caveat to this video is I'm boiling an entire decade down to 2, maybe 3 issues. That being said, the 2000s are kinda cheeks. Let's take this first issue, which is basically a soft retelling of her origin. First of all, can we stop fucking telling her origin? And second of all, it's just the same fucking shit. The only difference is Diana gets tempted to the dark side. It does portray Ares as more sympathetic, which is an interesting idea, but it's not really taken to any logical conclusion. I also do not like this art. I did not like it in the first video, and I do not like it here. And after like 3 decades of increasingly ambitious stories, it feels like we're back to the 1960s levels of basicness. It's less about a new take for Diana and more like a checklist of stuff. And while George Perez comes out of this looking sexier than ever, I don't think Greg Rucka left quite the same impression. There's also clearly some continuity reset, but while they explain stuff like Lois and Clark being married or even Lex Luthor being president, here I felt considerably more lost. Just like in my main Greg Rucka video, go watch that. Who are you men? Why do you spy on me? This issue is basically re-establishing the DC trio as a team, but it's done in the most basic way you can imagine. My 2 compliments for this issue are such. Number 1, we get one of the most hilarious moments I have ever read in comics. So in an effort to get the team to trust each other, Wonder Woman holds out her lasso, and so Superman and Batman grab on, and Wonder Woman is like, "Who are you? I'll start. I'm Princess Diana, blah, blah, blah." And then Superman is all smitten, and he's like, "I'm Superman, I'm Clark Kent, Kal-El." And then Batman he goes, "I'm Batman." And I don't know if that delivery really hit, but that was one of the funniest fucking shit I've ever read. And 2, the ending is really cute. I can't lie, I do love a really nice, wholesome ending. It is polished, but I found it very empty. This is Wonder Woman assembled, not expressed. I was honestly really shocked there wasn't more 2010s content in general, because this compilation came out in 2020. I don't really know what else to do with the 2010s, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's not offensive or anything, but I didn't find that it had anything interesting to say compared to the decades prior. It's time for my thesis. Wonder Woman is clearly not a character with one definitive version. She's a character defined by growth. Constant, messy, sometimes even contradictory growth. And maybe that's why I couldn't appreciate her, because I was looking for someone consistent, when what she really represents is change. The 40s created this trailblazer who the 50s sanded down. The 60s made her a toddler for some reason, only for the 70s to try and fix her without understanding what was truly broken. The 80s reinvented her humanity, the 90s taught her loneliness, and the 2000s finally let her slow down and introspect. And while the 2010s did reset a lot of that, I don't know, I had a good time. So as Wonder Woman kept evolving in the 80 years of comics I just read, somewhere in that process I did too. Part of the reason I chose this compilation is from you guys' comments, there doesn't really seem to be a consensus next step to read. I have a ton of different paths I'm considering. I mean, more George Perez, William Mesner-Loebs, Absolute, fuck it, even more 40s. So if you have any particular interest in one of those, none of those, or even like not Wonder Woman, leave me a comment. I try to reply to every single one. My thought process is like, if you took the time out of your day to leave the comment, I should take the time out of my day to reply to it. And you all know that there is one more thing we gotta do. We gotta rate this damn compilation. It's gonna get a 6, but compared with Born Again last video, which also got a 6, this one left me much happier. Your mileage may vary, but if you want a nice overview of Wonder Woman history, I cannot recommend this enough. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I had making it, and hope you have a good one. Peace.